Hey, this is Ryan going live real quick. Please ignore the background. We're doing a little modification to the pain cave slash basement slash storage slash my office slash set the pace headquarters. There's a lot of stuff going on, so I'm gonna put some stuff up to kind of hide the ugliness. But I do want to go over some weekly tips on how to plan your season. Because just noticed today, specifically, Ironman announced they put 70.3 Memphis on the map October 3rd, 2020. It does look kind of interesting to me, but if you want to do that race or you want to do other races throughout the 2020 season, now's the kind of time to start thinking about it, especially off season. You don't have races, maybe as much training going on. So I'm going to throw you some quick tips. Number one, never too early. You know, if you're doing Memphis 70.3 and it's October 3rd, it's almost a year away. You want to do Ironman Florida, it's almost a year away. It's never too early to start playing or planning. Just go out and lay out your calendar and lay out what's going on and kind of start putting in the large chunks of your schedule that's going to go in there. So it's never too early. Are you going to be self-coached? You're going to hire a coach? Buy a plan, pre-made training piece, something like that. Now it's time to start thinking about that. I know personally, me as a coach, I've already got athletes lining up. We got Ironman Tulsa coming up. We've already got Florida. People are talking to me about races next year, Ironman St. George and other races. So if you are thinking about getting a coach, now's the time to start interviewing coaches, talking to coaches, finding out what their schedule, what their workload is. You may get to a point where you think you want to coach, but unfortunately, they're all booked up and they're taken up, so you're kind of left with having to go through your list of coaches. So now's the time to start asking around. Don't forget about recovery. Everybody gets all super excited about the race season. I want to do race. And if you don't build in recovery in between your big races, your 70.3, your full Ironman races, your marathons, whatever you want to do, if you got them 3 to 4 weeks apart on a consistent basis, you're going to end up burning yourself out pretty quick. So I always tell people, keep recovery in mind for your race season, especially planning out your races. You want to be realistic with life. If you're single and you got no commitments, no nothing whatsoever, you work from home and you plan your schedule, hey, great. But a lot of us out there have families, have full-time jobs, or spouses or significant others have full-time jobs. So you got to make sure that you account for life and kind of plan out big. Personally, I know my wife has to go out of town for different meetings and whatever. So you got to be able to make sure that you plan ahead. You got graduation coming up in May for your kids. Probably not a good time to do Ironman Tulsa 2020 or Ironman Texas if you got a big bulk coming up. Your kids starting off in college in the fall, you got to move them in. You don't want to plan a big race around the same weekend or possibly the same weekend as when they need to move into the dorms and they need you out there lifting heavy stuff, and you don't want to be worn out before or after your race carrying their sofa up to their dorm room. So plan that out. Think about that. Update the plan. Check in often. The living, breathing organism. I came from a scheduling and planning background in construction. So once you set that plan, it's not set in stone. It is constantly moving. It's breathing. It's life. It's alive. It moves up and down. It ebbs and flows. You got to always check in and kind of reassess where your schedule's at. Number 6, avoid racing every weekend. I know it's tempting, but there are ways to do it if you race every weekend. If you want to do a 5K, 10K, or something like that, and work into your training plan, but try to avoid racing every single weekend because over time, it might wear on you a little bit to have to be there early, drive to a race, do a race, and then drive home, and it just kind of takes a large chunk of your day. So try to avoid racing every weekend. Number 7, do race periodically. Don't take huge 2 to 3 months gaps in between doing races. I know specifically Ironman Tulsa, I keep bringing that up. It's in May. There's, especially here in Kansas City, there's not very many races that are going on between now and then. There is the Kansas City Triathlon that's in the middle of May, and right now they haven't posted that it's open, but do race a little bit in between. Don't go long stretches of period of time putting all your eggs in one basket and then doing that race. So make sure you do race periodically. Practice nutrition now. It's been a big part of my off-season webinar that I've been doing. Make sure that you're up to speed in your nutrition, what you want to do, if you're changing stuff. Now's the time to start practicing, going through and just switching around. What are you going to do? Just get all that taken care of so when you're into the race-specific training, you don't have to worry about your nutrition. Practice hydration too. A lot of people kind of space that out. Especially if this is kind of your big opportunity next year. You're doing that big 70.3 for the first time. You're doing a full Ironman for the first time. Now's the time to start working on nutrition and hydration, because that is a big part of the sport. And if you've been doing it for a while, like myself, this is a constant adaptation change. If your race is in the heat, if it's in the cold, you got to do a lot of different things and practice that hydration, nutrition in the off season. That's the perfect time to do it. And finally, quick tip: enjoy the process. If this is tedious and like a job to you, you will not like race day for sure. So make sure you enjoy the process. Start now. Take the stress out of it. Make sure you enjoy it. And if you don't, maybe it's not for you. Maybe it's not something you want to be doing. But make sure, number 10, you enjoy the process. So that's my quick tips for how to get your season planned out for the next year. So now's the time to start tackling all this. If you've got any questions, post them in the comments. I'll be glad to get back to you. We'll talk to you later.